All right, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you believe it? We are 10 weeks away from the toughest test in sales education, Selling with the Bulls 2024. So super excited that we're going to be able to have an opportunity today to take everybody through the competition, just remind everybody of how it works. It's kind of a little different than some of the other competitions that we all attend. And so I wanted to step through what the logistics are, remind everybody. Some of you have gotten emails from me. I'm working through and sending an email to everybody and just confirming counts, and I'll explain why that's super important here in a moment. But we're working our way through that. And then what we will do following this is there's a couple of other follow-up items I'm going to ask for you guys to do as we roll through this. So with that in mind, we also have a couple of guests from FinTitan that are here with us today, and I'm going to ask them to say a couple of words when we get to that moment. But just so you guys know, it's not just the Sales Center Directors folks that are here today. We've got a couple of guests along with us too. So with that in mind, I always like to start with what are we trying to do? So we have a little perspective around when we think about Selling with the Bulls, that it's a community engagement event that includes a competition. So with that in mind, the goals that we're trying to get from this is network with each other. And to you students that are listening to this, you are going to be collaborating, competing with folks that you're going to know for the next 35 years. You guys are all simply the best. And so it's good to meet each other and have an opportunity to connect with each other. Network the business partners. Frankly, it's really hard to find these students. And so we create an opportunity, I think, with the competition to bring those two groups together and create some collisions that hopefully create some value in the future. And then, of course, improve. We want everybody to be able to have an opportunity to get better. We'll be working on prospecting. We'll be working on the discovery meeting, the sales close meeting. We'll be working on the networking elements of it, all within the span of 30 hours. And then last, why do it if it's not fun, right? So we want to be having an opportunity to have that be kind of embedded and scheduled into the process. So with that in mind, that's what the goals are for Selling with the Bulls. And when we think about what we do, we put them through that sequence of perspective around this idea and opportunity for us to engage. And then we also want to, of course, have a competition because it's sales, right? But we also want to have lots of folks be able to be successful in that space. And you'll see that kind of permeate its way through the way that the way that the competition is set up and the way that we approach the process. So with that in mind, for what we're going to go through today, we're going to talk through the event. We'll talk through the schedule. I've got maps. I've got parking information. We have the schools and who the business partners are. We will not do the case Q&A today because we're going to make some changes. I'm making an update to the case, so heads up on that one. I'll talk about that here in a moment. But before we get any further, I'd like to just for a moment take a moment to just say thank you to our product sponsor, FinTitan. And we've got Brian Anderson on the phone with us today and Jamie Ross from FinTitan. And so what I'd like for us to do, if we could, for just a moment, obviously the host for this is the Center for Marketing and Sales Innovation here at the University of South Florida, and then our product sponsor is FinTitan. And so, Brian, if you wouldn't mind, maybe you could take a moment and just greet everybody and introduce yourselves and give us a couple of minutes about FinTitan.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rob. So hello, everybody. First of all, grateful to be here. I'm actually kind of excited to be here to be a part of this. Let me introduce. So my name is Brian Anderson. I'm the co-founder with my partner, John Sousa, of a company called FinTitan. Let me give you a 60-second history. So John and I have been, John came out of the investment banking world. I came out of corporate software. And about 15 years ago, we both became what eventually would become serial entrepreneurs, starting different companies to solve problems that we would identify in the world. Between us, we have two software companies, a healthcare company, a 50-state lab company. We've done a lot of different things. In 2020, at the beginning of the pandemic, I was meeting with my CPA for my software company about the PPP loan had come out, and I was trying to understand opportunities around the PPP program. Could I take advantage of it? How would it work? And that was great. And I learned about another tax credit that had come out called the Employee Retention Tax Credit. Came out in March of 2020, and I had never heard of it because I had only heard of the PPP program. And so I asked my CPA and his partner, Danny and Kathy, and I said, hey, can you help me with that? I'd love to pursue that. And they said, we don't do that. And I'm like, okay. And I just wrote it off candidly. But then I kept seeing it over the next 6 months, and I realized, wow, there's this credit of free money available for businesses that were struggling during the pandemic that I had never heard of. And one thing led to another. Early 2021, we recognized, John and I sat down and recognized that there was all these programs that, you know, Trump and Congress got together and agreed on, and most businesses had never heard of. And CPAs weren't doing the work. So these programs lived in a world, if you imagine the Venn diagram with the circles, imagine payroll companies in one circle and CPAs in another circle. And that overlap between the two circles is where these programs live. They were half payroll and half accounting. And CPAs are very conservative by nature. And what do they want to do? They want to just keep on doing the same thing they've always done. They want to do taxes, bookkeeping, audits, typically. And the reality is there was no noise around this specific tax credit, this employee retention tax credit, the way there was with PPP. And in March of 2021, Congress changed the rules around the program and allowed a business that had received the PPP to also receive this other credit, as long as they didn't double dip on the same wages. So at that point, we finally, you know, hit us over the head so many times. Eventually, we're going to be like, wait a minute, there's a real opportunity here. And we realized that no accountants wanted to do the work. There were a couple, I'm going to use this phrase, fly-by-night operations online that didn't have accountants that were purporting to do the work. And we just said, let's build a model. And we wanted to build a scalable, this is kind of part one of FinTitan. We wanted to build a scalable financial services operation to serve small businesses across the country. So we needed to be able to onboard a lot of clients. We needed to go after, we had no salespeople for this. We, you know, candidly, John and I had an MBA, but I think I eked out with a C+ in accounting. So I would definitely not brag about being an accountant. But we're really good at identifying problems. And we realized there's this massive opportunity to help businesses, nonprofits around the country. They didn't know about it. How do we set it up to win? And so we started hiring accountants. And then, well, initially we contracted with a CPA firm. And then we realized that that wasn't going to be compliant. We needed to hire the CPAs and have them in-house as W-2 employees. And so we went back and kind of redid the mousetrap. And then we started hiring accountants. And then we just grew an operation offering at first a single tax credit focused around this ERTC tax program. And we added, I think we had about 40-something thousand customers come through the door. Out of that, they're not all eligible. Maybe 20 or 30% of them were eligible. So we helped a pretty good amount of clients. And what we realized is we had built a customer base, or we're in process of building a customer base of SMBs. And then with John's background, coming out of investment banking, he was a VP at Citi, at Chase, and at Bank of America Capital Management. We said, how do we build a financial services company that serves small businesses for products that they actually need, instead of us pushing products at them? How do we identify the products they really need? And we looked at payroll. So we partnered with ADP. We cut an enterprise deal based on our clients out of the tax credit to create a deal with ADP. We added in merchant services. We've added in bookkeeping, and we added in depository. And this is where it gets interesting. During the 21 and 22 period, there was stress on a lot of the financial, the banks, right? So if you remember, Silicon Valley Bank just last year ran into problems. They had a run on the bank. Republic had a run on the bank. And so there was a need. We saw another need in the market for a FDIC insured depository product that would be larger than the traditional $250,000. Now, what's nice is through our tax credit, we had built a relationship with over 1,000 banks that were offering our clients advances on the money, so they didn't have to wait for the money. And then together, we created a program to, I want you to imagine a depository account where we could leverage 400 banks at 250,000 each, and then aggregate that together. So we created a high value FDIC insured account. So we started building these products out, and this depository product is probably the neatest one of them all because it solves the problem. Nobody really had a solution to go beyond. There were a few people doing 1 million or 2 million, but we were able to piece together 150 million of depository, one account kind of controlled by one. You had one master bank that would handle it over the network of banks. And then what we've done is we've grown our team in Tampa. We're near the airport, the West Shore area of Tampa. I'm in the Atlanta office. We have an office in Miami, Nashville, and a small location in New York City. Actually, we have an Iowa office now. We just hired 40 people in Iowa. But we built this company with a desire to serve small businesses, initially a desire to kind of help them solve this tax credit problem. And then we morphed it into how do we deliver valuable financial services products to them where it's not about the money. It's not about how much can we make. What was our commission? We wanted to build it about a relationship. So core to everything we've done is how do we build a relationship with the client? Like I see Jonathan's in front of me. And so I know Jonathan, I know his company. Like think old school banking. All of us, I don't know, anybody 50 plus, like when you used to go in the bank, maybe when you were younger, they knew your name. You probably weren't rich, but we would go into the bank and maybe they'd give you an ice cream when you were a little kid or a lollipop or something, at the teller stand. We wanted to create a model where the relationship was at the core, and that, when you have a relationship, it's no longer really selling. It's more consultative. And how do we bring valuable products and level the playing field, maybe in markets that were underserved? So disenfranchised markets, perhaps, that we could bring these financial services to them, all capitalizing on this initial install base of clients that we've got through the tax credit program. And as a result, we had honed a pretty good, we have about 40-ish, 45 AEs, so sales reps, if you will, that are building relationships and developing those relationships with the clients. They are feet on the street. Now we have referrers. We have accounting firms across the country that are referring in businesses to us. We built relationships with mayors of small, medium, and large cities around the country. What we did is we did the old-fashioned trade show stuff. We went to something called the U.S. Conference of Mayors and built a relationship with a couple mayors and key people, and then grew that. So now we have mayors of cities that are bringing us into chambers or other groups that are then referring in like a one-to-many kind of model that we're able to get large-scale numbers of clients. We bring them into the fold, and then it's about how do we help the client. It may be that we have nothing that adds value, and we just build a relationship for down the road. But in many cases, we're able to offer things like payroll, merchant services, or typical small businesses bookkeeping at a massive savings to them that gives them business insight. If you don't know your numbers, you really don't know where you are. And many times in my entrepreneurial career, I really had no idea what my numbers were. And I realized the value of knowing your numbers. And so we had these products and services. We had a bench of CPAs on our team. We have all these sales reps, inside sales guys. We had built a pretty fabulous tech team that I will admit we stole liberally from John's other company. And so we were able to kind of piece together this fintech where relationship was at the core. And then, oh, by the way, I don't know how we did it, but it grew north of 100 million. Like it went like exponentially. Like it took off revenue-wise in a way we really didn't see coming, candidly. We were doing this to help businesses, and we thought we'd make a few dollars, but at the end of the day, it was really, man, we can do this. And we knew it would be, we always wanted to build a big picture financial services play. John, more than I, coming out of investment banking and his history, and this was a way to kind of take our tech backgrounds and leverage our referral networks, and then now leverage our new client base and turn it into, instead of a one-trick pony, turn it into like a diversified financial services product serving small businesses where relationship was at the core. And that's really what we did. And without going any deeper, that'll give you the high-level flavor, so to speak.
Great. And we're going to talk more about this as well. But January 10th, Brian's partner, John Souza, is going to give us a background on the industry and FinTitan, and it's going to go deep in that as well. So I wanted to give you guys an extended view of that conversation because of the, because it was really important, I think, for us to make sure that everybody kind of understood this business was a little bit different. And you guys had a chance to meet John and or meet Brian and kind of understand what they're doing, because the case sits there, but I think this adds some color to the case as everybody's thinking about it, and gives you something to think about between now and January 10th when we're back together again. So thanks to everybody for kind of allowing us to do that. And Brian, thank you so much for the review of that. So let's jump into this. So as I said, the event host is Muma College of Business with what we're doing here, and FinTitan is our product sponsor. And from there, let's go on and just dig into this to the content and where we're going from here. So Selling with the Bulls Intercollegiate 2024, you guys should all have these on your calendar, but just as a reminder for everybody, it's February 15th to the 17th. The 17th is optional. It's here in Tampa. Saturday, the 10th, the prospecting pre-work is due. That's the email, the voicemail, the LinkedIn messages. During that week, the week prior, I'll get the voicemail numbers for everybody to use and the competitor numbers for everybody to put in there. But I need to lock everything down before we get to that. Thursday evening, starting at 5 o'clock, is the networking event. That is a hard start, 5 p.m. So if you're not here at 5 o'clock, you're going to miss something. The 3 competition events on the Friday, then the prospecting calls in the morning, that's the phone call, then the discovery meeting, the sales meeting. In the afternoon, we'll have a reception, we'll have the awards dinner. So food perspective for everybody, heavy hors d'oeuvres on Thursday night. So if there's a lighter eater, that's probably enough. Otherwise, somebody may actually want to go back out and get something to eat. The way the schedule works, you might be done by 7 or you might be here till 9. Kind of depends on where the students end up being in their scheduled networking meetings. And that's a little bit, I really can't tell you how that's going to be, because the way I set this up is once I get everybody in and we flight the schools, I randomly assign the schools to the order, right? So it's not based upon how many years you've been here or what you've done before or whatever else. It's once they're flighted, then we randomize it. So I really can't tell you where you're going to be in that until I publish the schedule. Because I won't know actually until we actually get to that point. USF school teams as well. So that's how that will work out. When you think about the competition structure, we're going to have 3 flights this time. We do flights because it allows us to have more students be able to compete in the competition. Essentially, you can think of this almost as 3 separate competitions. The networking is all together, but the awards are separate. But you might be mixed up with the championship flight and the first or the second flight, the students, right? I can't separate it that much. It's just, that's too complex. But the students will actually be competing against other students in their individual flights and the role plays. And so the first thing we'll do is, based upon the schools and their experiences, we'll flight the schools. Obviously, schools that did really well last year are going to be back and they're going to be in a championship flight. Schools that are brand new are going to be moved down and give the students an opportunity to do something different. And we have a wide range of programs. Now, that doesn't mean that the student is going to be their first time competing, but my experience has been that if the program has the history, then they know how to prepare. It's when the programs don't have the history that it's a bit more of a challenge for them. And so we want everybody to have a great experience. And so we do it in this way. It also allows us to have everybody compete in everything and still finish this competition in about 28 hours, give or take. Okay. All right, the networking event. We're going to do it the same way as we did it last time. There'll be the high top tables in the atrium. The food's going to be out in the breezeway. There'll be 3 students that'll connect with a business partner every 20 minutes. Pretty much, if you think about it, there is a rubric, but for the most part, it's what do you know about the person? What do you know about their company? And do you have some kind of an ask? And the feel of this should be something like a trade show or a conference or a sales meeting, something like that. They're not the same 3 students going to every one of the individual stations. They're all mixed up amongst them. And there'll be some time there to meet with business partners if that wasn't one of the people that you got scheduled with. So there'll be some opportunities to connect. The business partners will also get everybody's resumes or metadata off their resumes. if the student agrees to share it. And so there's also an opportunity for interacting and connecting that way. The other part will be high top tables, heavy hors d'oeuvres, as I described. And then some of the business partners will have a backstory. That backstory will make that phone call on Friday morning into a warm call instead of a hard cold call. Because essentially the idea is on the phone call, you sent them an email, you sent them a LinkedIn connection request, you left them a voicemail and they didn't respond to you. So all you have is what's in the case. You have the potential to be able to learn some things on Thursday night that can improve that conversation. Now, candidly, every student's going to know that information by the time the night's over because they will have all talked to each other. But they still have to be able to use that information, and it's a nice way of distinguishing the interactions with everyone during Thursday night as well as using the information Friday morning. So, but it's a fun little wrinkle to doing the networking. For the networking, all the businesses are themselves and they are the people that they are supposed to be. So the character that's in the case isn't resident or isn't participating in the networking, and the students are themselves as they're doing the networking, right? They're not doing part of the role play. But there is this little wrinkle where the case finds its way in to the conversation. Okay, prospecting. The pre-work is due at midnight or 11:59 to be clear on Saturday night. That's the email, the voicemail, the LinkedIn connection request. Each room, and I think we will have 19 rooms, will have a different phone number for that voicemail pre-work. Absolutely crucial that the students that they use their voicemail number. I can't go looking for voicemails across 130 plus messages. They are segregated by the room. If a student doesn't leave the message in the right phone, on the right number, their message will not get to be judged in their room. So that's critical. The other part will be then the live phone call. Then is a 10-minute call. It's a web meeting without video. So they'll sit down, put the headset on, make sure that they have connectivity and that they can hear each other. They can hear the volume. And then they'll say, okay, let's go ahead and start. And then the clock will start at that point in time. If there's a hardware failure, something will go wrong on Thursday night and Friday. It just will. With the scale and size that we're running, something will go wrong. If during the phone call portion, we lose connectivity or lose the internet or we can't get a computer to work or something like that, we don't have the ability to just wait and try and fix it. We got to keep the trains moving. This is a little bit like rush hour on, with the trains. The train needs to leave the station before the next one shows up, or this whole thing unravels pretty quickly. So we will shift that specific room only to a scenario where it's a chance meeting at a coffee shop. And that would then become a live person interaction for that room only, right? So that's our contingency if the tech fails us. So far, we've been successful at fixing that the night before when we've had problems. But at one of these times, I'm going to have a computer die on us. And at 19 rooms, we have 20 stations. I don't have a lot of leeway in the event that something breaks. So just so you know, and that might even happen halfway through the round, right? And it'll just be, we'll do that. That allows us to ensure that we're going to make sure we get the meetings done because the buyers are all physically on campus. The students are all physically on campus. You add in a little bit of food, and I know we can have a competition, right? After that, the rest of it is nice to haves, right? So we'll just shift that to an in-person event if we have to, okay? There are awards for best email, LinkedIn message, and voicemail that are all part of the prospecting. And all of those events, including the phone call, roll up to become the round one score, okay? For the discovery meeting and the sales meeting, the way this is going to work is traditional sales role play competition, just like we do in all of our other competitions. Round one is a needs discovery. It's 10 minutes. Round two is a close on a sale. It's a 15-minute. Everyone competes in both rounds. There will be no results posted after round one or round two, right? What ends up the way we do this is coming out of round two, the winner of all the round two rooms go to a championship room per flight, but everybody competes in round two, or round three in this case, I should say. So the round two winners go to a round three championship room, but everybody competes. There's more points. There are more points awarded to the winner of the championship room. It should be, right? In theory, tougher competition. But everybody has the potential to earn points, and everybody then has the opportunity to continue on in the competition, right? So we'll end up with all 3 rounds, all students compete in all rounds. Okay. The championship rooms aren't posted. So in theory, nobody knows but me who the championship rooms are. And that allows the students kind of to stay focused on what they're doing and be able to move forward. So the way judges and the judging and the feedback goes, buyers will be on site for all rounds. Remember, round 1 is a phone call. So the students will be in our lab. The buyers will be in the conference rooms, and they'll be connected via Teams meetings. Judges may be in person or online. So it is conceivable that a student will come into one of those rooms. There may be 4 or 5 people in the room. They might as well be considered furniture, right? They're irrelevant to the conversation. It is the buyer and it is the student, right? And it's okay if the student comes in and says, well, who's my buyer, right? If there's some confusion in that, that doesn't grade them down, right? That's just everybody getting comfortable with that is. Judges are not part of the role play. Many of the judges will join online. Recognizing that we do have the complexity of this event, it's possible that some students may not get a ton of feedback. Last year, we had the situation where because of urgencies and then people's computers dying or whatever, I ended up with a room where I think there was only like 1 judge that was able to provide the rubric feedback. Disappointing, but because the way that we do the scoring is the judges and the buyers reviewing together and then ranking the students, we don't have time to do the Scantron and the kind of ranking in that way, right? And independent scoring. There's no time for that. So at the end of each student, they rank the students. And then at the end of the event, at the end of that particular round, they have a sheet. They've written all the students down and their score, the order. The feedback is just for the student. It's not used in the scoring. So it doesn't hurt the process, so to speak, right? As long as there's a buyer and there's a student, we have the opportunity to be able to continue on with the competition. And we have had this case, we had a fire drill one year, we had a power outage one year and lost all of the internet connectivity. And yet we were able to still finish the competition and on time, because we have this method of reducing the complexity, or I should say, becoming anti-fragile, right, in the process. Okay. So that's how we'll take care of that. And by the way, these slides are all posted, and I'll show you guys where those are going to be here in a moment. The case and the rubrics are all posted online. Heads up on the case, we are making a change to the case. I hope to finish it this week. I reread the case after our product sponsor made some edits, and I feel like we need to add something to the case for clarity. So we're making an additional change to the case. So what's up there is 98% complete, but there are some changes that are going to be made. Like I said, I expect to have that done this week, and then we'll have a final case will be posted. So it'll be posted here. I will also send it to everybody, so you know that that's the final case. Okay. But the case we post right now, it's at this link on the web. It's also, you guys all received it. Everyone received it as an email from me. That is the most current version, but like I said, we will make a change to it. The example rubrics are also posted here. The judges will actually be completing them as Qualtrics surveys, but these are Excel spreadsheets that show what the actual rubrics look like. In the event that some of you are new or would like to review them, you can find them here on the center website. Okay. The competition information is posted to a web folder. Rather than trying to update a website with a bunch of material, we just have a box folder with everybody having permission in it. This is the web address. Some of you have already received an email from me today. Others of you will receive an email later today from me that includes a link to this box folder. This is where we will put the schedules, the results, companies, the company contacts, the preparation resources, any meeting PowerPoints or recordings will all be put in this folder. And there's several folders inside of it, so you can navigate to that and find that material there. And then everyone will have an opportunity to be able to download from that site. And that's where you'll be able to pull the material from. So that's a much more efficient way, and it doesn't involve me having to beg for our IT folks to keep updating things, and we can be much more dynamic in our materials that way. So again, from a competition schedule perspective, just for planning for everybody, February 10th, 11:59, we're going to make sure that we've got all of those email, voicemail, LinkedIn connection requests sent in. There are directions in the case on where to send those. Basically, the email and LinkedIn message come in as an email to sellingwiththebulls@usf.edu. And then, like I said, I'll post phone numbers for the students to leave their voicemails on. And then each phone number is for each room. Okay, and that's how the judges will know what messages to judge for their particular rooms. On Thursday, the 15th, about 3 o'clock, the employers will start setting up their tables. By 4:30, everybody needs to be on site, checked in, and ready to go. It is a hard 5 o'clock start. And again, because all of these conversations are scheduled, if you're not here at 5, you're likely going to miss an opportunity to talk to a company, and that will affect your score probably. By 9 p.m., we should be done, and that will conclude our Thursday portion of the event. Bright and early on Friday, we're going to start. The first round will be at 8 o'clock. So by 7:30, everybody needs to kind of be on site and be checked in. We are actually going to be in 2 buildings, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. So if that student happens to be in one of the other buildings, it's the judges, I should say, will need to be here a little bit earlier. Since the students are all doing the prospecting together in the first round, everybody's going to be in the atrium. That's where everybody will check in. So if you're there at 7:30, you're there early enough. Okay. We will compress the schedule as we're able to all day long. So if we can move things up, we'll move things up. We'll start each round at the appointed time, but we'll try to take advantage to give people bigger breaks by moving the folks forward in the schedule as we can. Usually we finish the rounds a little earlier than what's scheduled. So the 8 to 10:30 or thereabouts will be the prospecting competition. That's the phone call component of it. There's a box lunch that'll be in the atrium. From 11:30 to 1:30 will be the discovery call. From 1:30 to 2:30, we'll do all of the collection and re-whizzling of the rooms. There will also be some additional communication about the case that will be distributed during that time period. There'll be some change that will occur to the case prior to the sales meeting that occurs at between 2:30 and 5:30. About 4:30, the reception will get started. So that's when we'll open up the beer and wine bar and the antipasta and the various things like that. And then 6:30, we'll have the awards dinner. Takes about an hour into that, so close to 7:30-ish. I should be down with the awards. We'll hand out all the awards, and that'll then wrap up the competition on Friday night. Okay. Saturday is our optional networking day. I asked some of you for input on if you might be interested in Busch Gardens. I have some information for you about that in a couple of slides. And then obviously another option that people often use is the beach. February weather in Tampa could be really, really nice. It could also be, a little drizzly sometimes. So when you're looking at airports, Busch Gardens, Clearwater Beach, etc., Tampa's airport is TPA. Orlando's airport is MCO as an abbreviation. Orlando's airport's about 90 minutes. It's a larger airport than Tampa, but not a lot larger any longer, but sometimes cheaper. But just heads up, it's about a 90-minute drive, assuming that traffic is not a problem. The I-4, that's the Interstate 4 that passes between Orlando and Tampa, this corridor, can be dicey. If there's an accident or if there's a problem on that, it could go much longer than 90 minutes. So just be aware of that as you make your plans. On Saturday, if you're thinking about your kind of distances, the Mumo College of Business or the USF's campus is right here. Busch Gardens is literally right there. You can see the coasters from campus. So if you're thinking about travel or airport or hotels or Uber versus rent-a-car, it's very close. Not someplace you would want to walk to, but very close. Clearwater Beach is about an hour from Tampa, from the College of Business. Okay. Busch Gardens in Clearwater. If you're not familiar, Clearwater Beach is a perennial top 5 beach in the United States. I think it was 5 last year. It was #1 a couple years ago. It's 60 minutes from campus. Here's a link that you can look at if you're looking up for some information and want to learn about it. Busch Gardens, we have a option for discount tickets. We're not buying tickets for everybody, but we did secure a $75 price ticket for everyone. And that's unlimited, so you can get as many of those as you would like. It's an amusement park, theme park, animal encounters, Busch Gardens Campa. And there's the link for it. And then that's the link as well to be able to use to buy the tickets. Like I said, $75 is the ticket price for the discounted pricing. And that's a single day ticket. It opens at 10, closes at 8. From a weather perspective for Tampa, when you're looking at February, it's a little nicer than January, but you're talking about something with an expected high is probably going to be low 70s. A low is going to be in the mid to 30, 53, 55, something like that. Obviously, it could be different than that, but we've had certainly days in the 80s and nicer. We've also had days where it was rainy and cloudy and it was a little bit chilly. That's chilly for the Tampa folks, not for those of you guys, some of the guys that are up north. So you're welcome to make fun of me for that one. So from there, I forgot to update the photo. We had a better photo for that one, so I missed that. All right. Muma College of Business. This is the street address for the Muma College of Business. It's 12212 USF Genshaft Drive, Tampa, Florida. If you put that into your GPS, it will take you to the opposite side of the buildings. There are 2 buildings that make up the Muma College of Business. We're going to be in the newer building, which actually front ends onto USF Genshaft. If you put this address in, it will take you to the other side of the buildings over here. The parking is actually in the Yuengling Center parking lot. Okay, that's where the parking will be. So I would recommend putting in Yuengling Center into your GPS if you're driving, or if someone's going to drop you off. You can get dropped off on either side, but it'll be much easier to find your bearings if you come in on what is the east side of the buildings as opposed to the west side of the buildings. Okay. To be specific, so kind of hotels and how things are, kind of orient yourselves with this. Parking lot 22, which is the Yuengling Center, towards the northwest corner. What I expect to have happen is it will be a sign that'll say event location, selling with the bulls, or CMSI, which is the Center for Marketing Sales Innovation, and a sign. There won't be any designated parking. It'll just be you park it somewhere in that lot. You won't get a ticket. We're buying out enough parking spaces. I just think they're not going to collect. They're not going to do any kind of checking of tags that day on Thursday or Friday. So that's where you're going to be going. There is a walkway between the Muma College of Business and that parking lot that takes you directly into where we'll be set up to check in, as well as the breezeway where the food will be set up for the evening event on Thursday. Directly through the doors into the Muma College of Business is the atrium where the event will take place and kind of be our hub of activities for everything throughout the 2 days. All right, so my suggestion again, use Yuengling Center for your GPS navigation, or if you're trying to tell an Uber where to drop you off. And at the same time, you want to park not, like you want to be in that far northwest corner of that parking lot. The Embassy Suites is on campus. It's about a 15-minute walk, give or take, across campus to the Muma College of Business. USF's campus is large. It's a big campus. There are 45,000 students on the Tampa campus. So think, it's not a small location. And so the Embassy Suites is only about halfway across campus, and it's even on that end of campus. So if we were walking diagonally, it would be a much larger distance to cover. But that's kind of a way to think about where we're at. Generally speaking, for hotels, you want to stay east of Bruce B. Downs and north of Fowler, or just south of Fowler. And that's kind of what I've got drawn here for where you're going to look for. That gives you an opportunity, because Busch Gardens is so close, that gives you all of the normal places that you would want to stay. It has all the Hilton properties, all the Marriott properties, Holiday Inn properties. So whatever kind of fits your budget or your location or where you might want to stay, you have the opportunity to kind of stay in those locations. Though, again, you don't want to be all the way down. This is where Busch Gardens is. You want to be up north. This is Fowler. This is the road that just runs just south of campus. And Busch Bruceby Downs is the road that runs just west of campus. So we want to kind of stay in this area and then to the northeast. This is an urban campus. You do not want to go walking by yourself or going on a run or something like that off campus. There are places that are just not appropriate for students to be going on by themselves that are south and west of campus, right? So it's best to just stay close to campus. And again, east of Bruceby Downs, north or within a block, there's a Homewood. There's several hotels that are just south of Fowler, like a block or two. That's fine, but you do want to stay north of Bruceby Downs, Busch Gardens. We don't want to get down in the hotels that are around Busch Gardens, right? You want to stay up north of that. Okay. And if you have specific questions about that, please let me know or check in with Jay Civitello, the other individual here from USF, and we can give you some more specific and details around that. But depending upon what you're looking for, you can find any of those. And some people actually want to stay closer to the airport, make it quick out of here, or they may be going to want to be, maybe they're heading to Orlando. They want to stay out towards that way. There's lots of options for where we're at and lots of different price points to pick from. Okay. The day of the competition, we're going to run 3 flights. And so kind of this gives you a better view of where to park. And I'm going to talk about that here as well. And as well, where we're going to have the competition at. So the Muma College of Business is actually 2 buildings that are adjoined and connected to each other. There is an older building affectionately called the Bunker. For those of you who are here, you recognize why we call it that. And then there's a newer building that's right next to it, that's attached to it, that we have. And this newer building is where the atrium is. It's where we'll have our event on Thursday night. It's where we'll have our food, our activities will all be there. There is the Bellini Center for Talent Development is basically a 5-minute walk just straight north of campus. So this is the way that it mapped it, but you can actually just cut straight up this way and along this walkway and cut into the building. And so it's basically kind of 5 minutes. One of the flights of the 3 will be at the Bellini Center. So round 1, everybody's together and is in the buildings down here. Round 2 and round 3, one of the 3 flights will be up here at the Bellini Center. The other 2 flights will be here in the Muma College of Business. All right. So just to think about what that means for you guys. So about a third of the students, so 40-ish, give or take, students will be up at the Bellini Center for their second and their third round. We intend that just to be a quick walk. We'll put up signage along the way that, for directions both ways to and from, but all the food and everything will still be down here. So pretty much after they do their round 2, they're going to come back here and hang out. After they finish their round 3, they'd come back here and as well as hang out down here. The lab is in this older part of the building. That's where we'll do the round 1 interactions. And the other 2 flights, one will be on the 3rd floor and one will be on the 2nd floor of this building. So it'll be similar to what we did last year from a format perspective, plus 1 extra flight that will move up here at the Bellini Center. When I was speaking about the parking, this is lot 22. Lot 22D is this portion of the lot that's up here in the northwest corner. This is the walkway right here that moves from the Yuengling Center parking lot into the Muma College of Business. And there's a raised walkway across the USF Genshaft Drive. Okay, so if you say Yuengling Center, you're going to come into this area somewhere. Go to the northwest corner. There is a student health building that's built right here now. So you can't park in this area anyway. So kind of move to the far northwest, which is in this space up in here. Okay. This is what the Bellini Center looks like. It's a nice open air area. It literally just opened this year. So all brand new tech, all nice formatting. We'll have drinks over there, but the rest of everything else will be done back here at the Muma College of Business. All right. In the Muma College of Business, we have rooms spread out all over the place. On the 2nd and 3rd floors. So on the 2nd floor, the lab, our student access, we've got 5 rooms in the lab itself, plus all of the stations for running round 1. The coaches room, our board room is reserved for just the coaches. So you guys have a place to be. You do not judge coaches. So you'll have all day to just be available. You may want to hang out in the atrium with your students, or if you want to go upstairs and get some work done and be in the boardroom, you've got the option to be able to go do that. We'll have our the reception activity, like I said, is the breezeway out in here. And then there's various conference rooms that we'll use up on the 3rd floor for our various events. Students won't need to know exactly where all these rooms are. We will collect everyone from the atrium and then walk the students to those rooms in groups as we move them along, right? I did miss one item for everybody. The Starbucks is right here, in case you're curious, right? So it's actually on the way, more or less, from the College of Business to the Bellini Center. You pretty much walk right by the Starbucks. It's in our library. The undergraduate library is right here. So there's also a coffee shop on the 1st floor of this 3-story building as well, but Starbucks is right there. Okay, a couple of pictures for everybody. These are some of the cubicles. There's 20 of these in the lab. Each one of the lab stations is set up like this, so kind of give people a familiarity about what they're looking for, what it looks like. And then these are different conference rooms that folks will be able to using for the different role plays. All right. The company or the schools that are coming, we have 25 schools right now that are registered. There's a couple that are still waiting. I think they're thinking about trying to figure out whether they're going to be able to come or not. Right now, it's looking like we have 137-ish competitors signed up. I'm pretty sure that will mean that this competition will have the most role plays of any competition in the year. We'll be over 400 role plays on Friday. And so as I did the math, I think that makes it, the numbers are very similar to the other large competitions, but I think we'll actually have more role plays because obviously everybody's competing in every round. And so there's just a lot more role plays. The business partners, these are the companies that we expect to be present. This will change. These are the companies, if you wanted to start thinking about companies that are likely going to be there and be part of the networking, these are some of the companies that you would expect. Each student will get scheduled with 6 of them. And I expect this list will change. Some of these may come off, probably not, but certainly some will be added between now and the time that we get to the competition. All right, awards and scoring. The top bull and team top bull by flights. So this is individual and team scores. Ties are going to be broken on just as I have it written here. We ended with a random drawing. Everything's printed ahead of time. So because we want to hand out the awards and want everybody to have what they have when they walk out. So we break ties as opposed to doing ties. The scoring in the prospecting, discovery meetings, sales close meetings. Each room for the prospecting discovery meeting is a 10-7-5 for first, second, and third. And then in the sales meeting for the championship room, it's 15, 12, and 10 with fifth 5 points for 4th through 8th. And then the sales meeting, the non-championship rooms are just 10-7-5. Okay. The networking, the students, this will typically work out that the students will be 6 for 6 will get 10 points, 5 for 6 will get 7, and 3 out of the 5 business partners identifying that students as a top networker will get 5 points. So that goes towards their individual score as well as their team score. Teams are groups of 4 students. So for those of you who have spoken with me about bringing more than 4 students, your team is in groups of 4. The students will essentially be separate universities from a scoring and a planning perspective. So in the networking, when everybody's together, it's conceivable that you may have 2 of your students together in a group, because I can't keep track of that. It's just too big, too complex. But as you're out in the flighting, what we'll try to do is have you group your students by flights. So if you have complete novices, we can put them in the second flight. And if you have students that have been in competitions before, we can put them in the championship flight. And then you would not be competing against yourselves, right? We can separate them by flights. And that's what we will attempt to do. And I'll work with each one of you individually on that as we're figuring out which group of which students apply in which grouping and where we slot them. Okay, so we'll do that as a one-off. There's only a couple of schools that are in that condition. So we'll talk about that with you individually. Upcoming events, just the last couple slides here. First one, team registration by school coach. So we do a 2-cycle registration, actually 3 if you count the claim your spot that you guys already filled out. So the first one is a team registration. I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and do that one pretty soon. And that team registration is you go in as the coach and register the team. If you know your team members, give me the names and the phone numbers and the emails now. If you don't have them, you can put TBD in there, and then I'll have to coordinate with you later to get the names of your competitors, right? The reason I want you to do that is because then as the students register, I can check them off and make sure that all of the students from your school have registered and we've got them all in. Otherwise, I'm calling you and asking you, all right, I have, Jim, Bill, Julie, and Sam. Am I missing anybody? This way, if you tell me who's coming, I can cross-check it, and then I don't have to bother you if I've got everybody registered, right? So that's why we do the 2-stage registration. The team registration is just the people and their contact information. The competitor registration is the competitor's metadata off of their resume. So when they register, they're going to want to have their resume handy with them to be able to fill out the information. We don't send out resumes to the business partners. Instead, what we do is we build a pivot table off of that registration information and send that pivot table off. So one of the questions in that student registration is, do you agree to have your information shared with the business partners? If not, then they get stricken from the list. But generally speaking, everybody shares, and that's certainly our preferred state. We have FinTitan training coming up. We have 4 sessions that are going to be taking place in January. So January 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. They're all at 1 p.m. They're all the same Teams link. I will invite all of you to that Teams meeting, so you'll have it. As students register and I get their contact information, I will put them on the registration as well, or on the Teams invite as well. These review meetings are open to both students and coaches, and the recordings will be recorded, or the meetings will be recorded, and the information will be posted to the box folder, the web meeting folder. Okay. The topics, the first one's going to be John Souza, as we mentioned, that's Brian's co-founder. We talk about the industry, the overview of the industry, and FinTitan's unique market position. Brian's going to come back and join us again on the 17th and talk about common customer problems. Then 2 of the other folks that are from leadership from FinTitan, Gary and Robert, are going to talk about the product and value propositions on the 24th. And then we'll wrap things up with handling objections and getting the sale with Nick and Stevens. Okay. All right. We're in the home stretch. So the last thing here is go-dos. What do I need all of you guys to do? You're going to get this same information in a email from me. Those of you who already got the email, I got about half of the emails sent this morning. The rest of you will get the email later on this afternoon. It has all these links in it and has this information in it as well. So the first thing, coaches, register your team. And there's the Qualtrics link for you to be able to go do that. And again, this will be in the email that you get from me as well as in this PowerPoint. Second one is, if you have not sent me your W-9, and 6 of you have, so thank you to those of you who have sent me one. If you've not sent me your W-9, please send it to me. Send it to me directly. I want to get that all squared away and submitted to our finance team so that as soon as we've had the competition and it's complete, I can get that in flight and get you guys to your check. As a reminder, each school is awarded $500 for attending. We do not have a registration fee, and that we don't reimburse. So this is the way we just take care of that. We avoid the you pay me, we reimburse, and we just give a flat $500 to everybody. And just by attending, you guys qualify for that. And that's, again, by school. Then if there was a reason why you couldn't do that, we do have a reimbursement process, but you've got to follow the state of Florida policies as it relates to travel expenses. So there's the link for what would be approved. Hotel, airfare would be approved. So that'll easily consume the $500. Competitors, the competitors, we're going to need to have them complete the competitor registration. It doesn't work for you guys to do that for them. There's way too much information about them. Things like, their coursework, or where they might like to live, or what courses they've taken, or their experience around sales, are all things that are in these questions. So they'll need to take and do that work themselves. The competitors need to submit their prospecting work. I expect to get the voicemail phone numbers to everybody by Wednesday the week before, quite possibly considerably earlier than that, but certainly by Wednesday of that week, you'll get the voicemail numbers. You'll send the email, the LinkedIn messages to sellingwiththebulls@usf.edu. At that same time, you get the phone numbers. You will also get the competitor numbers. So students compete with a competitor number, not with their school name. Okay. Coaches and competitors attend the training sessions on the 10th, 17th, 24th, and 31st. All those sessions will be recorded, and those recordings will all be posted here to that Box account that I just described. All right. That's the briefing for today. I'm happy to stay on and answer any questions that you all may have, but I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording at this point. And then for folks that need to skedaddle or need to go do something else, this will then be the recording for everybody.